Alright, what is up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and today I am back with another video here. That was very unfortunate. Very tough game tonight. Flyers lose 5-3 to the Winnipeg Jets at home, coming off of the back-to-back. Everything about this game is kind of proving, what the Flyers are really trying to build. And the Flyers are trying to build a certain identity that they can come back into games and fight and just fight till the end. And it may work some nights, it may not work every night. And unfortunately tonight, you have an abysmal start. You go down 3-0. You crawl back. You get two power play goals from a team who, coming into this game, hadn't given up a goal on the power play in the last six. They were 18 for 18 on the penalty kill in this one. Kevin Hayes with two power play goals for the Flyers. A lot of good things. For the most part, they stayed in the game. Felix Sandstrom kept them in it. Unfortunately, Kane kind of gave up a soft, unfortunate goal on the eventual game winner from Carson Kuhlman. But the Flyers would end up losing. They had chances late to tie it, and they couldn't do it. And the Jets, they are a good team. They're very good on the rush. They're speedy. But again, like I mentioned, the Flyers lose 5-3 in this one. So lines were the same. Van Riemsdyk, Frost, Tippett, Farabee, Cates, Konechny, Hayes, Lawton, Allison, Delorier, Brown, McEwen, Provorov and York, Sanheim and D'Angelo, Sealer, and Ristolainen. And Felix Sandstrom was in net for the first time since December 13th. He was called up the other day, coming back from the illness that he had, and then was sent down to Lehigh Valley. Urson played well, and Sandstrom got called back up on Friday. And him getting called back up, if the Flyers were to keep him and keep Urson, then to send Sandstrom then back down, if they were just to keep Urson for the rest of the season, then Sandstrom would have had to go through waivers. He probably would have been picked off of waivers. Torch talked about how they needed that next save, and they needed him to make more saves. Unfortunately, he kept them in the second period. Jets had a lot of pressure, and he just didn't make that next save. And it was an unfortunate bounce, but this is exactly what has been talked about with Sandstrom. For both of these teams coming into this game, similar issues with travel in recent games. This was the fifth game in 8 nights for the Jets, fifth game in 7 for the Flyers. The Jets had a little bit more travel, and that was basically the only thing that was really you could really compare with these two teams, right? The Jets are right there as of right now. Tonight, after tonight's win, the 2 points for them, they tie first place in the Central. And as for the Flyers, if they were to win today, they could have moved in to 5 points from the second wild card spot, and unfortunately, they didn't get any points in tonight's game. But as for the first period, again, brutal start. Flyers get a power play, and that was just negated right away. It was a hook on Van Riemsdyk. Kind of a tough call, a little bit of a weak call. Then the Jets get a power play for 42 seconds. No call on Farabee. I'm not sure why. He ended up getting taken down. They didn't call that. Sandstrom had a nice save on Pierre-Luc Dubois off the rush. And then Johnson Fialbi would score to make it 1-0. Kyle Connor would score to make it 2-0 off the rush, and then it's 3-0 from Scheifele. And you're thinking, oh boy, this is just going to be like Toronto from a couple weeks ago, maybe Boston on Martin Luther King Day, right? I mean, you have so many different things going on here. It's 3-0 like that, and you're like, oh boy. These 3 goals, right? And again, for Sandstrom, they talk about making saves, and that was the big thing, right? Well, the Johnson Fialbi goals is a tip, and that's pretty hard to pick up. Connor's goal is a 2-on-1 rush that really I don't think any goaltender in the league could stop. And Scheifele, I mean, it was basically 3 guys puck watching, and Scheifele was wide open at the side of the net. D'Angelo did a good job to stay with Ehlers as best as he could, who's pretty fast, and slam dunk for Scheifele at the side of the net. And it's like, what is going on here? The Flyers had some looks. They had some chances in this period. It wasn't all Winnipeg. Tippett had a chance in tight. It was a nice pass by Brown. Almost scored there. I don't know if Tippett shanked it or what, but unfortunately, it didn't look like he got enough on it. I will say, I thought Cam York was fantastic in this game. I mean, despite the loss, I thought this was one of York's better games of his career. Quietly was good, like very good. He had a chance in the slot, ended up losing the puck. Sandstrom had a really nice save on Ehlers, and then the Flyers get one back. Provorov scores It was a really nice play. Jets had a horrible change. It was like a 3-on-1, 4-on-1, like turned into a mini 2-on-1 in front. And Provorov would get one in tight, so 3-1 end of the first period. Thankfully, the Flyers got a pretty important goal back. Second period was really all Winnipeg. There were no goals in this one, in this period. And the Jets get a couple power plays here. There was a hook on a Konechny, and then there was a rough on the McEwen a few minutes later. The Flyers penalty kill did a good job of keeping this game close and keeping this game somewhat reachable in the score and being able to come back. I thought for most of it, they had some good clears, good plays off of face-off, so they kill off those two penalties. Hayes had a chance before that, and Riddick absolutely stoned them. Unfortunately, did not score there. Sandstrom made save after save, had a nice save here through traffic. A couple nice saves in tight off of a one-timer. Allison ended up getting tripped up, fell down, whatever. And unfortunately, for the Jets, they didn't score there. They didn't add to the lead, and the Flyers were still up 3-1. And then they get a power play. Van Riemsdyk gets interfered with, trying to chip it out of the zone off of all that Jets pressure, and the Flyers get one back. Really nice play. 3-2. Cates found Hayes, but what I really liked about it was D'Angelo, because instead of just firing a puck on net or anything like that, he was able to just hold it, wait a second, find the guy in the middle, which was Cates, who was wide open, sends it over to Hayes. He ends up scores from the corner, and it's 3-2. And the Flyers going into the third power play, Lawton gets tripped up, and the Flyers get a power play again, and then they tie the game. It was a shot from Frost right off the face-off circle, kicked out by Riddick. Hayes right there for the rebound. Bam, 3-3. And that's what you need. I mean, the power play in recent games haven't really been able to help the Flyers. And in most of the season, has not been able to help the Flyers really at all. And Hayes would end up tying this game. That would be 2 goals for him. And the Flyers had some looks ahead for that, but then they get in a little bit of a penalty trouble. And this is where the frustrating part of this comes in, right? Because you had legit chances to take the lead, and you basically gave them more opportunities to take the lead. And some of these plays were maybe not called. The D'Angelo one was a pretty blatant slash, and I think Ehlers sold it a little bit, but understandably so. Ristolainen had a nice block shot. Lawton has a breakaway, passing tight for Konechny, and then they call Konechny, who took down Scheifele, on a hold. So they have 5-on-3 for 28 seconds. Jets call a timeout. They try to set something up. Provorov had a nice clear. They didn't really get much on the 28 seconds of the 5-on-3. There was a lot of passing. They had one play for Ehlers, but it deflected off the side of the net. Really, really nice kill. They end up killing that one off, and then Carson Kuhlman scores to make it 4-3 on a really weird looking play. It's a simple thing, because D'Angelo, all he had to do was just stay on Kuhlman, but nobody actually picked him up on the inside. They kind of rode with him, and if somebody just put their stick in, it would have been deflected away, and they didn't do that. And it would just slip through Sandstrom, and this is what Torts is talking about. Like, you need to have a save there, and unfortunately they didn't get it. And it's not really on Sandstrom, because I defended the guy for most of his tenure. I know a lot of people were down on him. I'm certainly not. Unfortunately, he was peppered for most of this game. It was a tough break on this goal. And really, in the other 14 games he's played in his career, he's basically been given no shot. They've barely scored in front of him. They played some of the worst defense. And all the games last year that they played in front of him, out of the 5, they basically were putrid, just absolutely putrid for most of it. And that's just kind of what it was. The Flyers had chances late, though. I mean, they get a power play. York gets high-sticked. And, unfortunately, it was just a tough loss, because, again, like, these are certain plays. Like, D'Angelo had that chance late that ended up getting either blocked or saved or whatever. And then Stenlund would score on the empty net to make it 5-3, and that would be it for this one. So Flyers would lose this game 5-3. I mean, look, as you see on the board, there was still some scoring all around, especially for Winnipeg. I mean, they've been rolling, and it's just unfortunate, because in games like that, you want to see comebacks, you want to see wins, and it would have been nice if the Flyers could have tied that, maybe gotten a point out of it, something like that. But I will give them credit for recent games, against Toronto and against Boston, and really the month of January has been pretty good for this team. To have a game like that against Winnipeg and to come back and play pretty hard against them, it's definitely something that's you can build upon that, and there's definitely teaching moments in this game for sure, but you can't overlook the fact that you were down 3-0 to a really good team in the National Hockey League right now, and you were able to come back. Unfortunately, you couldn't get it done, but the good thing about this is that you play the Jets again next weekend. And the rest of the month, the Flyers have LA on Tuesday, Minnesota in Minnesota on Thursday, and then they're at Winnipeg on Saturday, and that'll end out the Flyers going into the All Star break. So, again, these games moving forward are going to be pretty important to kind of see how they round out the month. You've already beaten LA a couple weeks ago on New Year's Eve, and that was a really tight game. You got an important goal from that one, shorthanded from Cates, and that game can go either way. And the Flyers have not played Minnesota yet, so we'll see how that goes. But again, some positive things in this one, some not so positive things, and let me know your guys' thoughts below. Remember, podcast this week, Friday night, with Craig Berube and Nick McElwain. That'll be at 8 o'clock on the 27th here on YouTube. Make sure to come tune in for that one. Yeah, thanks everybody so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll talk to you all again soon.